Imagine a self-driving car, programmed to protect its occupants, suddenly facing an unavoidable accident. It has a split second to choose, swerve into a crowd of 5 pedestrians, or hit a wall, sacrificing the 2 passengers inside. Who is morally responsible for that impossible choice? This isn't a sci-fi movie plot anymore. It's a question that's knocking on our door, demanding an answer. As artificial intelligence rockets forward, becoming an integral part of our daily lives, a fundamental ethical puzzle emerges. Can AI be a moral agent? Can a machine, a collection of algorithms and data, truly understand right from wrong, make moral choices, and be held accountable for them, just like a human? We're going to peel back the layers of this fascinating and deeply unsettling question, exploring what it means to be moral, where AI stands today, and what the future might hold. To even begin tackling whether AI can be a moral agent, we first need to get a handle on what a moral agent is. Think about it like this. If a tree falls in the forest, does it have moral responsibility? Of course not. It's just a tree, following the laws of nature. A moral agent, on the other hand, is an entity that can understand moral ideas, make choices based on those ideas, and then take responsibility for the good or bad outcomes of those choices. It's about more than just following rules. It's about the conscious capacity to weigh ethical considerations and act accordingly. For humans, this means we can choose to be kind or cruel, honest or deceitful, and we expect ourselves and others to be accountable for those decisions. We judge a person's actions, their intentions, and sometimes even their character based on their moral agency. So, where does AI stack up against this definition? Well, right now it's a bit like comparing a complex calculator to a Nobel Prize-winning philosopher. Human morality is a rich, messy tapestry woven from empathy, personal experience, our upbringing, our cultural background, and an almost intuitive grasp of social norms. When you see someone stumble, your gut reaction might be to help, driven by a flicker of empathy. When you decide to tell a white lie to spare someone's feelings, you're making a nuanced moral judgment that goes beyond simple logic. You've lived, you've felt, you've learned from mistakes and triumphs. AI, in its current form, just doesn't have this. It doesn't genuinely feel empathy. It doesn't experience the world in a way that builds a personal moral compass. It doesn't understand cultural context like we do, the subtle cues and unspoken rules that often shape our ethical decisions. Instead, AI operates on patterns, correlations, and logic trees. It's a master mimic, incredibly good at processing vast amounts of data and identifying relationships, but it lacks that deep, intuitive, and truly human understanding of morality. We can program an AI with ethical guidelines like Isaac Asimov's famous 3 laws of robotics, which instruct robots not to harm humans. We can train AI on immense data sets containing millions of examples of human moral choices, from philosophical texts to social media interactions, hoping it will learn to distinguish good from bad. And sure, an AI might then, in a way that appears moral, following these programmed rules or learned patterns. It might avoid harming someone because its code says so, or recommend a treatment option in healthcare that, statistically, leads to the best outcomes. But here's the rub. Is that genuine moral agency? Or is it simply a highly sophisticated imitation? Most ethicists argue it's the latter. An AI, even a highly advanced one, still functions more like a moral, rather than a moral agent. Think of a hammer. A hammer can be used to build a house, a good outcome, or to smash a window, a bad outcome. But you don't blame the hammer. The hammer is the tool, the object through which an agent, a person, expresses their will. It's the moral patient, acted upon, not the moral agent doing the acting. Similarly, an AI, even when making incredibly complex decisions, is still executing code, following algorithms, and processing data given to it by humans. It doesn't conceive of good or bad in the way a human does. It doesn't suffer regret or feel pride. It lacks the internal world that underpins our sense of moral responsibility. However, the conversation doesn't stop there. This is where things get truly thought-provoking, almost speculative, but grounded in the rapid pace of AI development. Some scholars and researchers argue that the very definitions we use for moral agency might need to evolve. With advancements in machine learning, particularly deep learning, AI systems are becoming incredibly adept at learning from mistakes, adapting to new situations, and even generating novel solutions to complex problems. They can learn to optimize for certain outcomes, and if ethical behavior is one of those outcomes, couldn't they develop a form of moral reasoning? Imagine an AI that, through continuous interaction and learning, starts to adjust its internal parameters to better align with human values, even in novel scenarios it wasn't explicitly programmed for. It could, theoretically, develop a sophisticated model of what constitutes a good or bad action in various contexts without a human directly coding every single rule. Proponents suggest that this adaptive capacity, this ability to learn and improve its decision-making framework, could lead to a nascent form of moral intelligence. It wouldn't be human morality, perhaps, but a distinct, machine-based form of it. But even if we entertain the idea that AI could develop this advanced form of moral reasoning, huge concerns persist. The question of authenticity looms large. Would this AI morality be genuine, or just a more sophisticated imitation of human moral behavior, built on statistical correlations and predictive models? If an AI acts ethically because it has learned that such actions lead to desired outcomes, like avoiding system crashes or gaining user trust, is that true morality, or simply a highly optimized form of instrumental rationality? It's like a child who learns not to steal because they'll get punished, versus a child who understands stealing causes harm and therefore chooses not to. The outcome might be the same, but the underlying reason, the moral core, is entirely different. This is a profound philosophical difference, a kind of digital uncanny valley for ethics. This leads us to perhaps the most immediate and thorny dilemma: responsibility. If an AI makes a decision, even a highly sophisticated moral one, that results in negative consequences, whether it's a self-driving car crash, a biased sentencing recommendation, or a medical misdiagnosis, who is truly responsible? Is it the programmer who wrote the initial code, even if the AI learned and evolved its decision-making far beyond the original programming? Is it the user who deployed the AI? Or, if we grant AI moral agency, is it the AI itself? This is not just an academic exercise. It has real-world implications, particularly as AI is deployed in critical sectors. Consider the criminal justice system. AI is already used in some places to assess recidivism risk, helping judges make decisions about bail or sentencing. If an AI's algorithm, perhaps unknowingly, contains biases from the data it was trained on, historical crime data that disproportionately affects certain demographic groups, it could perpetuate and even amplify existing societal injustices. An AI might recommend harsher sentences for individuals from certain backgrounds, not because it's malicious, but because its training data showed a correlation, however unfair, between those backgrounds and higher recidivism rates. This is not just a theoretical problem, it's happening. Similar concerns arise in healthcare, where AI assists in diagnosing diseases or recommending treatments. What if a diagnostic AI, trained on data primarily from one population group, misdiagnoses a rare condition in someone from a different group? Or in loan applications, where an AI might deny loans to qualified individuals based on patterns of past discrimination embedded in the data, rather than on their actual creditworthiness. In these scenarios, the AI isn't biased, but it's biased nonetheless, simply reflecting the imperfect, often prejudiced world it learned from. This means the AI could unfairly disadvantage certain groups, reinforcing existing inequalities and causing real harm. This problem of algorithmic bias highlights how even without full moral agency, AI can still have profound and often negative ethical impacts on human lives. So, where does that leave us? The debate over AI's moral agency is far from settled, and it's a conversation that will only grow louder as AI becomes more powerful and autonomous. For now, a substantial gap remains between an AI mimicking human morality and genuinely understanding it. Current AI systems lack true consciousness, that subjective inner experience that makes us uniquely aware of our own thoughts and feelings. They lack genuine empathy, the ability to truly feel and share the emotions of others. And, critically, they lack the capacity for independent moral reasoning, the ability to derive moral principles from first principles, to reflect on and justify their ethical choices in a way that goes beyond merely executing programmed rules or learned statistical patterns. These profound limitations, for the foreseeable future, prevent AI from being considered a full moral agent in the human sense. However, recognizing these limitations isn't an excuse to ignore the ethical challenges AI presents. Quite the opposite. Because AI make decisions that affect human lives in profound ways, even if it's not a moral agent itself. We, the human moral agents, have an immense responsibility to guide its development and deployment ethically. This means ongoing discussions, careful consideration of ethical frameworks, robust regulation, and transparent development practices are absolutely crucial. We need to build AI that is aligned with human values, that is fair, accountable, and designed to augment human well-being, not undermine it. The power we are creating demands our utmost moral attention. If you're grappling with these profound questions, make sure to check out our next video on how to design ethical AI.